Welcome to the Bear Rumble Podcast, your home for everything BHP football. Each week, we dive into the greatest games, preview what's coming next, and share the stories that make Belton Honeypath Bears football special. From legendary coaches to unforgettable moments, this is where Bear Nation comes together. This is the Bear Rumble Podcast.
Hey there, Bear fans. I'm your host, Kayne Evans, and this is the Bear Rumble Podcast, where we cover all things BHP football. Today, we have a great episode for you. We are joined by current offensive coordinator and BHP graduate, Andrew Jenkins. Andrew graduated BHP in the class of 2005. He went on to play his college career at Presbyterian College, and now he has been with BHP for the last 6 years. So with that, welcome, Andrew, and we're glad you're here.
Appreciate you having me on, brother.
Yeah. What year are you in here at BHP? This is
my 6th year. It's crazy to think about. 6th year, yeah.
Over halfway through the decade. There you go.
It's wild. So when we moved back, my son was 4 years old, and now he's closer to driving than he is to us moving here. It's wild.
Yeah, don't be doing that math. That hurts us all. Yeah. But yeah, we're so excited for both you and the Bears this year. I know there's a lot to look forward to. I know from the outside, people may have thought, maybe thinking a little different, but I know anybody that's kind of been around the program or been around you guys, there's a lot to look forward to. And what's that feeling both on the coaching staff and in the locker room about this upcoming year for you guys?
Sure, we've done a lot of winning the last couple of years. And BHP, we did some averages or whatever, and I think there's 8.8 wins per year the last 25 years or something crazy like that, which I know a lot of programs in the state that would give their left toe for that to be their situation. But when you win a bunch of games, you get used to winning, and you don't like losing, and that's showed up in a lot of places for our guys. They are doing an incredible job with showing up to weightlifting and busting their tail. I don't think we lost a single 7-on-7 matchup this summer. We've done well in our 11-on-11s. I think we did well. I think the only person we lost to in 11-on-11 was Northwestern this summer. But everybody else we kind of did really, and we did well against Northwestern too. But they're pretty good too. The expectation hasn't shifted, and the standard hasn't shifted, and the kids are still bought into that. And a lot of people may forget about us, and that's okay. I think I like that. I think I like for us to have some bulletin board material, because for a long time, for the last couple of years, we've had a lot of people tell us how good we are, and it's been tough to come up with some motivating things, and we had to make some stuff up. You know what I'm saying? But this group of guys, they're pretty self-motivated, and it's a great group of guys, and we're going to have to see early on some guys kind of get into some new roles and some starting roles and things like that. But I don't know if I answered your question, but the expectation hasn't shifted anywhere on our end.
But you did, and I think that it's a fine line of winning can go two ways. You can get complacent with that winning, or you can make that your standard, and it's great to hear that's what this team's looking into. Going with that dominance over the last few years, I know one stat, 3 straight 10-win seasons, first time that's ever happened at BHP this last year, happened under Coach Blackson. And then you think over the last 3 years, averaging almost 400 yards per game, averaging over 40 points per game, that production level has to be at one of the highest in the state. Sorry, I didn't go back and do that study over the whole state, but those numbers really speak to themselves. But what do you credit that level of production to?
Well, and I think we studied it, but I think we were the number 1 offense in the state points per game in 3A last year. I think we were the number 3 offense in the state in points per game, all classifications. The year before, we were number 1 in the state points per game in all classifications. And then the year before that, I believe we were number 2 in the state in 3A. So we, not just compared to BHP numbers, compared to everybody's numbers. And I think, that speaks for itself. But what do I attribute that to? We've had a run of some amazing young men and great athletes, and they aren't done. There's a lot of 4-year starters and 3-year starters still on this football team, and some very special 2-year starters, and those guys have done an amazing job. And I thought our coaching staff has done as good a job as anybody. We do a better job than anybody, I think, of taking that 8th grader and going through spring practice with that 8th grader, and then by the time he gets to spring practice before he's a 10th grader, and he is able to start. I think we do a better job in that transformative 1-year period than anybody in the state. And we get more out of our JV kids than anybody in the state. Our JV teams, maybe lost 4 games in the last 4 years kind of deal. And it's not because it's because we actually put time into it and that kind of thing. And Coach Blackson puts an emphasis on it. And we don't just use them as a scout team in practice. They have their own, that kind of thing. So that's kind of, I guess, on the long list of things that are the reasons why we're successful. But also, our coaching staff's done an unbelievable job. I mean, we've got coaches that have been head coaches, want to be head coaches. We've got coaches that have won state championships in other sports. We've got the culture of expectation. Coach Blackson does an unbelievable job of getting the most out of the players, but also out of the coaches. He does a great job with that. And so all that's kind of added up together. Nobody wants to talk about the 4-7 year, but we were building that year too, and nobody wants to talk about COVID, but there's a lot of stuff that happened that COVID year that we were building towards this. It doesn't just happen in a day. And I don't think this fire's going to go out anytime soon. I can tell you that. The kids are on board with what we're doing. Their attitude and their work ethic are second to none. And I hate to tell everybody, but we're still pretty darn talented as well. Those kids just had to play second fiddle to some guys that are unbelievable. Went on to play college football. MJ Earl's going to come to mind right here, and he could have started for anybody last year at running back, and he was our 3, and he's going to run with it. We didn't have to see what Noah could do game in and game out, but he's going to scare a lot of people this year on defense because we're going to unleash him. It's a senior year. It's time for him to take over, and he's done that. There's a couple unsung heroes that are waiting in the wings, but I guess what I attribute it to the most is the players, and they're not letting us down in that respect for sure.
Yeah, you mentioned him, Noah Thomas. This will be maybe first year in a long time that you have a senior quarterback. So Noah's been last 2 years, and then at least a senior with multiple years of playing time under his belt. I think this is our first time, maybe since AJ Pendleton, 2 years of him or something like that. So what's that going to look like within the offense, where the offense predominantly over the last maybe 2 decades, 3 decades almost, is a run first, 70% type of run offense? Are we going to unleash that Noah's arm where we turn into the bear raid, or is there a balance that he can bring to an offense that's could make it even more scarier than how that offense production has been so far in the last few years?
You look at Noah's stats and all the records that he's already broken. He's going to own all of the. I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. He's going to own all the records that matter for a quarterback when this year is over. I'm making that bold prediction because I coach him and I see him every day. But yeah, it's going to look different. You go from having 3 running backs you really feel good about to, we've got one and we got to figure out who the other ones are. But also, we've got some really good receivers that we feel really good about, and some different places that we feel like they can help us. But also, it's probably going to look different because we're probably going to have more passing attempts. I tell everybody all the time, we may score just as much. It might just take us 3 plays instead of 1 play, and we've got an explosive group. But he's gonna show up on the stat sheet in the rushing category a lot more too. So there's a little bit of rushing attempts to go around. And it's going to balance out. I think it's going to be a little more, like you said, a little more in the passing game. We'll probably still hover around that 65-35, 70-30. We'll probably flirt with that as much as we can, but it'll look different. It'll be, we had an abundance of tight ends and H-back guys, and we're kind of wading through that right now, but we've got some receivers we feel really good about. And obviously feel good about Noah, and he's taking the next step. So we're able to put more on his plate with pre-snap alignments and checks and things like that. And just last week we were at the T.L. Hanna camp. I coach him. We score a touchdown. We're on the same field with our JVs. He turns around and he goes and coaches our JV quarterback, and is using my same terms and is coaching him. And that's, he has taken the next step there. So he wants to know where everybody's at and what everybody's doing on every play. And he does. And he takes charge. And like I said, is it going to be the bear raid? I don't think we're going to call it that. We still believe wholeheartedly that we can run the ball and we can dictate some stuff there. But I also think we can do a little bit more this year on the perimeter than we have in years past because Noah's ready, and he's been ready, to be honest with you. But we're going to let him. We're going to kind of unleash him this year.
I think that's one of the underrated parts of his game is he is a quick player. He can.
No doubt.
I think he was on the 4x100 team that came in second or third in the state for BHP
sure.
this year.
And he PR'd every time. He got real close to an 11-100, I think. 11 second 100. So he's sub 12 the whole time, but I think he got really close to 11. It might have been 11. I'd be making it up, but he got down there.
Yeah, putting speed out there is always a good plan of attack.
No
I feel
doubt.
like so.
No doubt, he's got it.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things when I asked you about one thing that contributed to this, and you mentioned the players. I think the overall view of football, at least in the community, I think is something that's maybe unique for BHP. I know you've been at some other places and all that sort of thing, but how is it? So, like I said, BHP graduate, go to PC, go to a couple different places, now back at BHP. What's it like now coaching here at BHP, and how's it kind of what's the differences that you notice here when we talk about football at BHP?
I always wanted to come home, and there's a lot of things that played into that, but I always wanted to come home, and very, very glad to be home. And we bought my parents' house, and and being close to them is very important to me and that kind of thing. But BHP as a football town, I mean, is second to none in the state. It's just because there's groups of kids year in and year out that you're going to be able to win with, but also football is still important around here. I'm going to be honest with you. Football's on the ropes as far as importance in people's lives across the country. I think it's making a comeback with flag football and things like that and popularity. But for a while there, it just looked like people weren't coming to games, that kind of thing. But then you come to BHP games, it's like, man, the stands are packed. We're good, we're bad, whatever. People are there, people care. But being other places, there's no place like home for sure. I did the whole, I was a head coach, figured out that wasn't for me. I'd much rather, and be honest with you, I'd much rather just be an assistant coach because I got to do. I now get to do the things that I really enjoy doing, which is being with the players, coaching them, teaching them. You got to deal with adults when you're the head coach, and I'm just, adults let you down. Kids got a reason, But I am excited, tickled to be home. My kids, like it's crazy, Kayne. Me and you started playing football together in 10 and under football, and my oldest son, Lion, just started 10 and under football.
There you go.
And so he's just now starting his football journey, where I started my football journey. So it's a real full circle moment for me. So I go from coaching the 17 and 18-year-olds to coaching the 9 and 10-year-olds in the evening. But that's pretty cool too. But I would, now I've had great experiences and I've had really terrible experiences in other places. But I would say Belton Honey Path, the town community, second to none. Because number one, people around here love the Lord. And that shows up in the most unassuming places, and it shows up in how they're always willing to help you. They can be mad at you. They can think you're the worst coach ever. They can whatever, but this community always shows up, and for people in need and things like that. And these kids, they don't know how blessed they are to have the kind of community that backs them, and I think they do to some degree or whatever. But we had a football player this year, just this summer, lost his mom, and the way our kids were prepared to be a good teammate, and our coaches were prepared to be good coaches, and our community kind of rallied around them right there. That's the part that has never changed around here, and that's the part that I would say that I most enjoy coming back into for sure.
That's great. Yeah, I can tell you, you're never, as those players, you're never that number. You're always always a person. You're always the person first, and I can see that even on Friday nights when those guys come back and Coach Blackson takes the time. You guys take the time, talk to those guys really, and I know you guys keep in contact, but how those guys are always a part of what you're doing because you're doing it for them. And I don't want to speak for you, but I can see it from the sidelines. It's a player focused team. It's not about wins and losses, even though that comes. But it's great to see, Andrew, and I'm so proud of that. I do want to. I'll flip through. I won't get any more sentimental with that. I know my old age. Right. I can get a little sentimental sometimes. So
for sure.
And we do know we graduated a lot of talent. And we've talked about some of the ones that came back. We know about Noah. We know about MJ Earl. Even with backing up, I know about Tajay. What are some of those other guys that you're looking at that could really become a name on Friday nights that we should be looking out for?
Well, we've still got the two best guards in the state, Keegan Mosher and Keelan Dixon. And we spoke at the football clinic today, and just watching them on tape, everybody, was like, oh my gosh. And that's, I mean, like, we're just used to it. We just see it every day. But those two guys, man, our whole scheme's built around our guards pulling and dominating and that kind of thing. And they're such good athletes in space. So, I mean, I know that they probably don't get the talked about, but I'm glad they're back. Brady Spearman at center. He took some huge strides last year. There was a point there when he was a sophomore, he was starting on JV, where we were worried about his snaps or whatever, and then all of a sudden he locks it in as a junior and becomes a mainstay in there. A lot of people don't know who Brody Riddle is as our H back, but he's got his chance to. We got a long line of H backs at BHP that have done some great things for us. A lot of them went on to play college football. We just graduated 3-year starter in Eli Satterfield, but Brody Riddle's going to pick up right where that tradition leaves off. We got a couple new faces, and some of those guys, we got breaking in 2 new offensive tackles, and we got 2 guys that are now playing college football that played tackle last year. So that those are some big shoes to fill, literally and physically, literally and figuratively, rather.
Yeah.
But they're doing a great job. Those guys are, and we've got kind of a group right there. But Carter Burgess and McCray Pruitt are 2 that we think we're going to roll with. Jonah Bars is in there as well. He's made some amazing strides. Jackson Musick. So those are just some names of guys, but those are all juniors, and they're going. 2 of those got to start, and then 2 of them got to play. And but then at the receiver position, Jaden Glenn took a year off football. Didn't get to play as a sophomore. Would have played a lot as a sophomore, but he and to be honest with you, we as a staff were kind of leery of what are we going to get with him, and he's just come in and he wasn't in shape. He's competed, and he has been a bright spot this summer. He has made some plays and over the top and in the intermediate game, and he's just a big old body out there. We put him in our boundary receiver position. He's going to give some people some fits, because what you going to do away from Tajay? Well, Tajay's to the field and he's to the boundary. You're going to have some question marks there. But then last summer, Jakari has, he flashed last year as a receiver, whatever, but now he really knows everything. And so I think we're going to get a lot out of him at receiver, but he's got to start at linebacker. I get, we're good with that, but he's going to make some plays at receiver for us. But then there's guys, Evan Gaines and Sheldon Almers, and just Jacobs Paul has had an amazing summer, and I'm pretty sure he's going to have to start at safety. So we may not get him as much as we want to as well, but we do a great job of that at BHP as well, and that goes all the way back to our teams, Kayne, where those guys may have to start on defense, but they're going to make an impact on offense as well. We've always had that, but we've got enough guys that just play offense to be pretty dangerous out there as well. And then our new tight end, Nick Sargent, he's a sophomore. He's huge, all dude, basketball player, baseball player. I think he pitched in the playoff game. He's a great athlete, and he's coming along. I've been very pleased with us. And what has not taken a backseat is our physicality. And so we're going to hang our hat on that as well. But as those guys learn, the offense how the BHP offense kind of goes. We kind of start off a little simpler and kind of work our way to a little more advanced stuff as we kind of plug along. Those guys they want to play football. I can tell you that they want to play it at a high level. And I'm really excited to see, like I said, we competed against the best of the best this summer and came away looking pretty good. So I'm excited to see where we head from there.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the Dixon twins. I know both on offense and defense. I got 3 boys of my own. I don't understand how that house could still be standing. I know wrestling growing up. I don't know how those kids, they're both on both sides of the ball. I think those are a couple of being a big guy myself, I always tend to look at those guys, and they can really play. They can move guys. They can move. Just seeing some of the things that they can do, great. You mentioned this earlier about how much you guys have practiced with other teams, 7-on-7s, your defensive camp at Hannah. I think got friends that coach over on that staff. What a great just couple days of that kind of camp, but got to see some of you guys, and you really made plays you guys made. You were going to get some of the top teams in the state. We're talking about Camden and Northwestern, Hannah. Who else was there? Chester,
Hartsville, Chester.
Wren. Yeah, all those teams. You'll hear all those names deep in the playoffs, and you guys were you were standing out. There were some plays out there that just really stood out. How had that the summer inter or scrimmages with other teams, especially at that high level? And then I know you have some scrimmages coming up when we get closer to the school to the kickoff against MVP. You're easily like some of those teams. What does that practicing against those top level talent do for you over the summer?
Well, so we have been going to that Hannah camp for a while, and we really consider that kind of the start of our preseason. And it really shows us where we need to work. So we filmed the whole thing. We had over that Hannah camp, we had like 340 clips or something that we could look at, which is a whole lot of plays. But so we really got probably 2.5 games worth of clips of just offense and defense, of things that, in the past, when we were in school, Kane, we just kind of did some 7-on-7s, and that was kind of it. And you never really worked on real football until it was time. And, but right now, we're evaluating, how well the tackles are blocking on their combination blocks. You know what I'm saying? How well our guards are pulling. How's our quarterback standing in the pocket versus a pass rush. So we really get to evaluate some really good things really early. But playing the best of the best, we want to play against the best of the best at the end of the season. That's what we want to be doing. So we want to practice when it's hot right now to get to play when it's cold. And you don't do that by, either taking these times off or by playing against some people around here that aren't very good. And we could do that and we could feel good about ourselves and pat ourselves on the butt, but we would rather get tested early. So our first this is our first jamboree is against Greenwood. And we have a saying around here that we respect all, but we fear none. And those dudes right there, now we played them in 7-on-7. Holy moly! That quarterback that just committed to Carolina as a safety or whatever, he's the real deal. They've got a couple guys on defense that can run. They always have linemen. It's going to be a good test. But we've had a good test all summer, and our kids have come out the other side. And that's the thing is, are we going to be down? Not sure, I guess, whatever anybody wants to say about us. But our kids don't know that. I can tell you that. Kids don't know we're supposed to not be very good. Our kids still have the expectation we're supposed to beat the guys across from us, whether it's TL Hannah or Northwestern or Chester or whoever it is, Wren or whoever, Greenwood. And I'm not saying we're going to beat anybody and everybody. I'm just saying that the expectation is there, and our kids' preparation matches that expectation.
Yeah, I'm not a coach, but seeing from the outside, sometimes that might be the biggest problem or the biggest hurdle for some teams is that expectation. They can see those numbers beside the team. They can see the number 3 team or the number 5 team or something like that. But the kids on this team has played those big games. There's no reason to be scared or afraid of any of those big moments because they've all been there, especially
That's
these that have been playing the last couple of years, which is great.
That's right.
Got a couple more, and then I'll let you go. Going into the season, what's that goal for the offense? I know we want to score more than the other team and all that sort of thing, but what are those things that you look at as an offensive coordinator that you say we've done really well if we've hit these points?
All right, so that's interesting. We track some things as a coaching staff, and those metrics play themselves out game in and game out. And we really don't really harp on those a lot during the week, but it's just a measure of how we're practicing and that kind of thing. We tell the kids, and you can ask the kids, we have 2 goals every game. Goal number 1 is to win. Goal number 2 is to score. And that is it. And that is all we communicate to them. And then it goes back to individually every play trying to get at those 2 goals, winning and scoring, right? And to be honest with you, that we don't throw out, we don't have rushing numbers, we don't have, so these are our in-game kind of goals. Goal number 1 obviously to win. Goal number 2 is no turnovers. And so how do we practice that? Well, we put an emphasis on that every day in practice with every skill player that touches the ball. Ball security, we do ball security drills. We track that kind of thing. That's one really big thing. If you study the game of football, the closest thing to the win and loss record is going to be the turnover margin, especially when teams are even. All right. Then we go down to our next one. Okay. This is another metric. If you go back and study it, it's a big indicator who's going to win. We believe that you have to be 50% or better in 3rd and 4th down conversions. We believe in 4th and 1 as a staff. So we want to be 100% on 4th and 1 conversions. So if we are 50% or better, and that sounds like a really low number, doesn't it? But if you go back and look at it, 50% on converting 3rd and 4th downs. So what we do is we actually have a list of 3rd and 4th down conversion plays that we practice all week. We tell the kids, hey, the first 3rd and short, this is our play. The first 3rd and long, this is our play. This is what we're thinking, so that we already get those kids prepared for those moments. All right. The next metric that we look for is we want to outscore the opponent in what we call the middle 8, which is the last 4 minutes of the first half and the first 4 minutes of the second half. We talk about it. We talk about our halftime adjustments. We talk about it as soon as that clock hits that 4-minute mark in the second quarter, and we talk about it when we come out of halftime. We want to step on the gas in those moments. And those are, and then we have an idea of our explosive plays. We want to have 8+ explosive plays. That's it. Those are the stats that we track. Those are the stats we care about. We don't have a magic number. We want this many rushing yards, this many passing yards, this many whatever, because there's going to be some games where you have a really low output, but you win 56-0 because the defense is playing so well. So those are things that we can measure, and we think that those are things that I've been a part of offenses that could break the record book or whatever, and we get smoked. And if you chase stats, you'll get stats. But if you chase those other, what we consider metrics that add up to wins, then your kids are better prepared to actually do what you want them to do, and better prepared to win. So that's kind of where we're at on statistics. I know as a stat guy, that's not what you want to hear, but those are the things that we kind of look at as a coaching staff.
I've watched Moneyball, so I know it's the aggregate. Yeah, it's the aggregate. Right. I got you.
That's right.
And there's a lot of aggregate that you got to replace. I know, but
no doubt.
We're excited for that. All right, Andrew, we're going to get to the end. I'm going to give you, I think I got 5 rapid fire questions. We're going to go fast. Show me, this is no huddle. This is, I don't know what you guys call it, but we're going to go fast. So
there you go.
Your favorite play call, what you got? If you could only have one, if you could run it every game.
My favorite play is 4 verticals. Is throwing the ball 4 verticals.
All right. What's the team that has given you the toughest task on their defense? Like their defense has given you the toughest task the last couple of years, or since you've been on the OC?
For sure, Clinton. The last 2 times we played them, it's been a daggone bar fight out there. I mean, it's unbelievable. But yeah, Clinton for sure. Probably Daniel is a close second there. Those 2 teams are unbelievable. Oceanside can probably factor into that too. They did an unbelievable job.
Yeah. All right. What's one thing people don't realize about being an OC?
That my wife gets on to me as much as anybody about my play calling.
There you go. There you go. I bet she can beat you in NCAA too.
Oh, no doubt. She wants me to throw 4 verticals more as well. So there you go.
Hey, send it downfield. All right. Favorite pregame or postgame meal? Either one, pre or post.
So what's funny, Kayne, and you know this about me, I actually get really nervous before games no matter what. So I don't eat pregame meal, but my postgame preferred is when you and your daddy are sitting there with that Chick-fil-A sandwich.
There you go.
I know it's time for us to be in a big game when Kayne and Mr. Dwayne show up with those Chick-fil-A sandwiches. I could eat 7 of them after a game.
All right, we'll put that order in next time. Yep. All right. Describe this offense. This is your last one. Describe this offense in 3. This year's offense in 3 words. What you got?
Physical, explosive, and
there we go. Hope it's not too surprising. I hope we get those wins like we expect and everything. But no, I'm right here with you, Andrew. I'm so proud of the team. Yeah, I think there's so much that this team has to offer. I'm thankful for you and all the coaches. We can see that it's, like I said earlier, it's way more than the score, way more than what's put out on the field. Thankful for that. Me and you go back a little ways, a little ways,
a lot of ways. Kindergarten,
a lot of
baby.
ways. Yeah, man. I know we'll have to get you on another time. We actually talk about some of those games that me and Dad talked about that Clinton game from 2004, and you were all over the film. So we'll have to get you on for that one. But I thank you so much for being here with me today. We're so excited for you. And, just if you ever need anything from the Bear community, you let us know. So
love you,
thanks
brother.
again,
Thanks
Andrew.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
See you, brother.
All right. See you, man. Bear fans, that's a wrap on episode 2 of the Bear Rumble podcast. Andrew, thanks again for being here with your great insight and what to look forward to in this coming season. To our listeners, thank you for riding with us. Be sure to subscribe and tell a friend, and be back with us for some more BHP football. And until then, how about them Bears?